When former President Joe Biden and Dr. Jill Biden sat down with the women of The View on May 8, 2025, Jill came locked and loaded and ready to clear the air. And things went from strained to explosive in no time flat. The way the 2024 presidential campaign unfolded was full on drama and intrigue, especially when Joe dropped out of the race with under 4 months to go before Election Day. One of the suggested reasons for this action was that the former president had been showing some signs of mental decline. And of course, that was one of the topics that surfaced during their appearance on The View.
Deeply sourced from Democratic sources that claim in your final year there was a dramatic decline in your cognitive abilities.
Joe immediately gave a numbered list on why those allegations were blatantly false. But after he spent most of the rebuttal talking about a handful of unrelated events and started to wind down, Jill jumped in with her usual dramatic flair.
You know, one of the things and
Alyssa, you know, one of the things
Jill first of all reminded the co-hosts and viewers at home that those who made those claims didn't live in the White House with the first couple. She went on to brag about how hard Joe worked every single day, mentioning how he'd be burning the midnight oil, how being president is a lifestyle, not just a job.
It's constant. You never leave it. And Joe worked really hard. I think he was a great president.
Her insight here is interesting, but Jill switched from defensive to catty when she ended her rant with a not-so-subtle dig at the current state of affairs under the second term of Donald Trump.
Give me Joe Biden anytime.
However, Jill was just getting started. The former First Lady has never been afraid of her shady side, especially when it comes to stepping up to defend her husband. Whether that's through starting an ancient and ongoing feud with Kamala Harris, or pushing back against the notion Joe was a bumbling mess during his presidential term.
Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question.
That defensive energy was on full display during Jill and Joe's time on The View, especially when Jill was asked about the perceived notion that she might have created a cocoon around Joe to sort of keep him in a safe place and away from reporters and media. In other words, an accusation that she hid Joe away so nobody would notice any alleged mental decline. Jill's response to her possibly keeping him from public view was that she, of course, was around Joe day and night. In fact, Jill's response was a little testy.
I did not create a cocoon around him. I mean, you saw him in the Oval Office. You saw him making speeches.
She reiterated that she hadn't been hiding him anywhere, leading Joe to make the joke that he wished she had, and stayed on the defensive for the rest of the interview. While Jill might have gotten heat from friends and foes alike for her handling of her husband, her spicy responses certainly had the internet raising some eyebrows. As one person on X said, "The View was nice to give President Jill Biden an interview." For someone who's trying to beat the whispers that she micromanaged her husband's presidency, Jill might not be doing herself any favors here.